The scientific community is 100% in agreement with you transferring what's left of your business directly to Jeff Bezos in order to expedite the inevitable. The science community will also recommend Bezos taking your wife for a spin while you watch once Cuomo and Newsom are done with her. You know, unfortunately, this is the new normal, and we are urging you to help stop the spread by respecting a mandatory smelling of Cuomo's fingers on his way out of your house. This is not a time to question the expert. This is a time for governors to come to your house and run a gauntlet of positions on your wife while you watch. As you watch your wife get stuffed like a turkey by multiple men even though your Thanksgiving's canceled, it's important to remember that we're all in this together, except for the politicians who will be taking turns having sex with your wife. Although it seems like this policy might be unpopular, quite to the contrary, the general public will actually cheer it on and publicly shame others who do not comply with having
I don't know about you, but I think some of these new lockdowns and restrictions are just getting definitely a little bit ridiculous. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Ukradowski of WeAreChange.org. A lot of important news to get into in this video, as we are going to be focusing on the new establishment ruling class in the Joe Biden administration. There's going to be a lot of names that you're going to be hearing a lot about in the upcoming future, specifically one very interesting one whose policies are something definitely to look after, which we're going to be doing in this video, but also another slew of military contractors, Wall Street banksters, and multinational corporate heads who, of course, are seizing the moment of this poor old man being in office right now. Now, before we get into all of that, plus a lot more, I do have to say, it does seem like the American experiment is definitely not working out right now, especially since government is literally deciding what businesses close, which ones are open. They're mandating what you can wear, where you can travel, how many people you can see, and in some states, like in Oregon, the governor is literally telling its residents, if you see something, say something, specifically in regards with family members meeting together for Thanksgiving. All of this while the full ethos of the U.S. police state are mobilized to go after parents whose little children aren't wearing masks, as the police officers making this arrest for this infraction aren't wearing masks themselves. Yes, this video is from a Georgia Costco. It has not been independently verified, but it shows two officers arresting a man for allegedly this man's child not wearing a mask inside of the store. Wouldn't surprise me if this was true, since of course we've been seeing more and more absurd policing in the United States, all of course enforced by politicians' decrees, like New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who literally went on record and said the officers not enforcing his made-up decrees that they're the true dictators. I'm not joking you.
Because you don't have the right to pick laws that you think you will enforce, and you don't enforce laws that you don't agree with, right? That's not a law enforcement officer. That's a
dictator. Yes, he called police officers who aren't enforcing his mandatory minimum of family members inside of a household in Thanksgiving. The officers who aren't enforcing his made-up decree, dictators. I think it's definitely fair to say that the world is getting strange, and it's only going to get stranger from here, as of course many Americans don't even realize what's going on here, mainly because of the media and big tech social media giants refusing to give it adequate and fair coverage. What are they focusing on? Well, they're focusing on socks. Yes, this is an official tweet from a quote political reporter at Bloomberg News, Jennifer Epstein, that is hoping that Joe Biden brings back the tradition of changing his socks like H.W. Bush so she could have something fun to tweet about. I am not joking you. And this is the reporting that, of course, we are going to be getting in the next 4 years, which really highlights some of the bigger issues this country's dealing with, as, of course, the very powerful billionaire class, along with their crony politicians and bureaucrats, are all setting their sights on exploiting the next tragedy. Other voices who speak out against it, maybe like this channel, are usually hit very hard by those same big tech monolith companies that control, of course, a large majority of speech. And because of that, we have to work with companies that we like in order to sustain our operation, and one of them is VPN City. If you're looking for a good, trusted VPN service that has a 30-day money-back guarantee that is actually affordable, very easy to use, has a large number of servers in many different countries. If you have any questions, feel free to click the link in the description below. You can talk to somebody automatically if you have any questions, and of course, using their services also helps support this independent media broadcast through, of course, our affiliate link. So yeah, if you're looking for military-grade encryption, unlocking geo-restricted content that some governments might not want you to see, definitely check out VPN City. Now, if the establishment media isn't gloating about their love affair with Joe Biden, obsessing about his feet and his socks, by the way, I forgot, we made our own special Joe Biden socks that I think are definitely worth noting in this mode. By the way, if you're looking for the official We Are Change Joe Biden 2020 socks with Joe Biden smelling your feet with the tagline, Rich White Guy and Cop 2020, you could get them also in the description below. We also have a Biden groping bikini also available on the store. Sorry, okay, where was I? So if they're not obsessing about Biden's socks, they're obsessing about, of course, frivolous details like the DNA and skin color of the team that Joe Biden is building around him and his transition team into the presidential election. As Vox tweeted, the gender and race, which for them is way more important than the actual character, moral judgment, or reputation of any of these individuals. And when we're looking at the individuals that Joe Biden is surrounding himself with, I think it's very easy to say that the clear winner of the 2020 election has definitely been military contractors, the Wall Street bankers, big tech, the corporate billionaire class, and of course, China. A lot of people representing big pharma, big oil, venture capital, a lot of the big money behind Joe Biden are, of course, getting first dibs into some of the new positions of power that will be allocated by Biden. And what did you expect? In Biden's presidential election advertisements, he had a millionaire tech angel investor pretending to be a struggling owner of a bar that allegedly supported him and supported his lockdown measures, which of course he's going to be instituting more of. The same measures that of course destroy small business and have left big business thriving and getting richer than ever. Now, of course, the corporatist candidate that's not really there, the man who actively argued for more corporate lobbying inside of Barack Obama's administration, who even had disagreements with Barack Obama about lobbying because he wanted more of it, is, of course, for lockdown, since, of course, it benefits a lot of his friends and is creating a super rich class. Meanwhile, all the competitors to his buddies, to his friends, to his new administration, to his new transition team, all of them are being run out of town by lockdown measures, which he is proposing to even make more stricter to a scale that we have never seen before. When we look at Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Costco, Walmart, their profits are up bigger than they ever were. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of small businesses are being shut down, never to come back again. And with big tech being the clear winner here, of course, they're going to be lobbying and doing everything to keep them in power, since of course it benefits them and their bottom line. And we have to understand that's exactly what happened here, as it's pretty clear big tech wanted one guy to win and one guy to lose. Google even only sent out reminders to liberal areas for a number of days until it actually was called out on it by a nonpartisan group run by Dr. Robert Epstein, which is absolutely doing an incredible job highlighting some of the major disadvantages and biases that big tech played during this election, which absolutely had an effect on it. Now, big tech is not only the clear winner here, it's also military contractors, especially with the appointment of Jake Sullivan, Biden's now new national security pick, to be one of the main individuals that will be setting American foreign policy. I don't know if many Americans even know about that term, American foreign policy, since we haven't been talking about it at all. But yes, that's a thing where the United States absolutely has a huge, tremendous effect on the world because of. And now, with Jake Sullivan at the helm of American foreign policy, you could bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be some major troubles ahead. Now, of course, he's a part of all the elitist institutions like the Carnegie Endowment. He was the deputy assistant to the drone bomber in chief, Barack Obama. He was the national security advisor to Vice President Joe Biden, as well as working directly under Hillary Clinton at the U.S. State Department. Yes, he was one of the main policy advisors, the senior policy advisor for Hillary Clinton. And when we look at some of his writing, especially on foreignpolicy.com, you see a latest divulge of globalist think tank propaganda that's pretty eye-opening, as of course he previously encouraged that the United States should encourage the rise of China. His main argument and reasoning was that a, quote, thriving China was specifically from an economic standpoint good for the global economy, adding a caveat, though it matters how China specifically wants to rise in power. And well, how more corporatist can you get than, of course, forced Chinese slave labor manufacturing plants that have been offset and destroyed American middle-class jobs by the globalist state, specifically under Henry Kissinger, where we have a country that literally conducts organ harvesting and a whole ethnic cleansing operation that's widely ignored. And it's ignored mainly because a lot of multinational corporations in the United States depend on China for their profits. If they criticize this, they will of course lose their profits in China, and this is the sentiment, this is the goals, which are not good for the future of humanity. Now, another thing to look out for is Jake Sullivan's experience, especially when it comes to American foreign policy in the Middle East. A lot of the very detrimental policies established by Hillary Clinton, established by Barack Obama, have his fingerprints on it, whether it's Libya, whether it's Syria, whether it's the devastating impact American foreign policy had on that region, his name is written all over it. There is even an email from him going to Hillary Clinton detailing how Al-Qaeda is, quote, on our side in Syria. And while acknowledging this, he also at the same time advocated for more covert arms shipments to support this Syrian insurgency, which was filled with, of course, Al-Qaeda and other jihadi groups, which he knowingly knew about. And then, of course, the United States did exactly that, and in part rise up a multinational terrorist state that has been committing terrorism all throughout the Western world. Again, he acknowledged that Al-Qaeda, our sworn enemy, was fighting on the side of the United States, and then he instituted policies where they would get more weapons and arms. Now, of course, he's not going to be the only one sending American foreign policy from here. It will also be an Antony Blinken, who comes from the very powerful Blinken family, which is also the co-founder of the private equity giant Warburg, whose current president is Tim Geithner, Obama's Treasury Secretary. Here's a photo of the Blinken family with, of course, Joe Biden himself. Now, their son has a very cozy position in his cabinet. Who would have thought wealth and influence helped set policy in the United States? Huh? Who would have thought? It's also Tony Blinken's company, West Advisors. That's the secretive consulting firm that is behind Biden's cabinet and the specific selection of them. Company run by the same guy that Joe Biden wants to make the Secretary of State, as his company is, of course, free not to disclose any registered lobbyist or special interests within their firm, and they're exempt from the federal law regarding that. Some more shadowy special interest groups, big money, corporate takeover and destruction, all of course with the stamp of approval from Hillary Clinton herself, who in the backdrop of all this information said that Tony Blinken is dedicated towards public service. She also said the incoming administration could not have chosen better personnel for the foreign policy and national security teams. And when you have Hillary, I killed Muammar Gaddafi and led human slavery back to Africa, Clinton literally telling you that your foreign policy team is great, you better watch out, especially if you're in the Middle East. Again, lots of predatory nonsense regarding people's DNA that the mainstream media is obsessing about, rather than the actual core issues that will affect us. And that's bullcrap. And if you think so too, share this video with your friends and family members. It's really more important than ever, because if you don't do it, no one else will. And because you still do, I am here. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And this is why. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.